The Justin Robert Young podcast is brought to you, as always, by patreon.com/JuRY. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. So hopefully this is the first time that we are going to be doing the JuRY daily podcast actually daily. So Monday, you're going to get some stuff Monday. For everybody who listened to our compilation episode, sorry that it included the theme song 4 times. But this is going to be how it normally is. We're also going to try and keep it closer to 20 to 25 minutes. So we are going to speed through things a little bit more than they normally would. But the hope is, as an emailer will later explain today, that it's a bit more of an accessible show. So I want to talk to you guys about something that happened over the weekend. I am, as you can see, in my advanced age, not exactly the prime demographic for VidCon. All right? In fact, I've only been to VidCon once. I had a Go Game event in Anaheim that overlapped. Tom Merritt was a guest without a panel. And I went to a after party for creators. And Tom Merritt and I are such nerds. Here's how big of nerds Tom Merritt and I are. We literally just middle school danced the entire fucking event. It was me, Tom Merritt, and Lamar Wilson, and we kind of like just found a little cluster of couches and we sat down and just talked to ourselves. We could have done it anywhere. We could have done it at a Blue Martini. We could have done it at a British pub. We could have done it on the beach. We could have done it anywhere that fucking green eggs and ham were served. Like, literally, we just happened to be at this other place. Every once in a while, we'd see somebody and we'd go, hey! And that's it. We were just nerds. I guess there was also an open bar. That was nice. Moving on, VidCon is an event where YouTubers and now Instagrammers and Snapchatters and they intersect with not only their fans, but it's become an increasingly important marketing event. In fact, if we were to chart out where VidCon will be in 20 years, I would suspect it might be something more along the lines of upfronts or NAB conventions or something like that. It seems like its worth is more and more on the side of the business and entertainment intersection. So what has become more and more of a frustration is how creators are handled. Because theoretically, VidCon, even the people that were big when VidCon started, are not necessarily as big as the people now. And in an ever-fracturing media world, it's harder and harder to understand who's famous, who deserves to be here. So my wife, Ashley, who works for Twitch, was down there working with Twitch. And she tells me there's some crazy YouTube drama about another event called TanaCon. TanaCon. And apparently it's something, and there's a thing, and there's also another thing, and it turns out that things are kind of happening currently. So I dove into this. And as happens periodically, I got a hold of one string and I started pulling another string. And by the end of it, I'm, 5 hours deep and watching, a 19-year-old girl yell into her webcam as I am assigning narratives to it that may or may not include, like, this is the separation of Pangea. There is no small, tiny detail that I cannot extrapolate into massive, world-changing events. And so, I will now tell you my bard's tale of TanaCon, as best as I could tell from watching several YouTube videos. So, there is a YouTuber slash Instagrammer called Tana Mojo. It's not M-O-J-O. It's like a French, like Mojo, kind of. I don't know what the fuck she does. To be honest, I literally know her as the girl that was famous before in the YouTube space, got upset at VidCon, and then started her own thing. So long story short, she had a bad experience with VidCon that I've kind of sussed out through my research is a not uncommon feeling amongst YouTubers, a.k.a. they don't feel that they are connecting with their audience when they go to VidCon. They feel that VidCon is selling very high-priced tickets, and there is a very, very, very careful guarding of who gets to be a featured creator and who doesn't. So Tana Mojo feels that for several years she was being denied the ability to be a feature creator. And this comes to a head at one convention where, and if you've ever been to BlizzCon, this is in the same Anaheim Convention Center that BlizzCon happens. And I'm sure there's other conventions that happen there, so you might have a sense where I can understand that the fire marshal and the security, if you're not in one of the major rooms, and because there's a couple hotels that are literally on the property of the convention center, there's a lot of crevices. There's a lot of choke points when you have a lot of people just sort of milling around. And so Tana Mojo feels hurt that she is not a featured creator. This is a hurt that I can, by the way, very much appreciate, because I've felt this for many years with DragonCon, that as more and more people bought more and more tickets to come see us at DragonCon, and we had people there that were filling these fucking rooms, at the end of the day, all I really wanted was to be comped my fucking ticket. I didn't even want to be paid. I just wanted a comp ticket. And I wanted to bring my wife. I wanted to bring my girlfriend. I wanted to bring other people. I don't know. I wouldn't think of a wife and girlfriend. They were the same people. But you want to know what? I wanted the freedom. I wanted the freedom to bring my wife and my girlfriend. If I have two of them, I want to bring both for free. Because it's the least that this fucking organization can do for us continuing to fucking put asses in seats for them. So I can understand her frustration there, but it becomes an issue because VidCon is very, very, very sensitive, and I assume this is probably because of organizational pressure with the fire marshal and other safety concerns about some real hard days night shit happening. Like teen crazed, like, oh my God, it's Ma! And then everybody rushing, right? So she's not a feature creator. She can't use the back ways to get to various panels, yet she is on panels, and she winds up getting mobbed, and they yell at her. The CEO specifically of VidCon apparently yells at her, but that she's causing problems. So, and this is in this video that she explains why she's not doing VidCon and plants the seeds for what happened last weekend. She then says, okay, well, the next year, she's a part of a huge YouTube series called Escape the Night. I never seen it. It was apparently a big enough ad spend for YouTube that they did that big building wrap that Blizzard does with their own games. So she again gets denied a featured creator thing. This time tries to play ball a little bit more with not being seen amongst her fans, feels the frustration of, all right, so I've tweeted about the fact that I'm going to be here. I've sold my fans tickets, or at least provided added motivation for fans of multiple people to buy a ticket to this event, and yet I can't meet them because then I'm causing a scene, but I'm a part of these gigantic panels to promote this massive YouTube thing. That's fucking bullshit. So it all comes to a head where in one moment, she is told that she can't wait backstage for a panel. She has to, because she doesn't have a featured creator badge. She has to go outside, and she causes a scene. She winds up getting pulled aside by the CEO, the new CEO of VidCon, which she never calls. She never says my name, but I'm pretty sure it's Jim Louderback, which is funny because he used to be the CEO of Revision 3. And I had a dinner with him once, which was pretty fun. He always seemed like a nice guy to me. But Jim Louderback apparently gives her shit. So she decides, after waiting, this ends with Jim Louderback saying, hey, I'm going to give you a featured pass. This year comes around, she doesn't get a featured pass. So she decides to run her own convention. Now, here's the headline of what happens this weekend. She wanted to do a free meet and greet. I think she wound up selling tickets for $1. VIP tickets for $65. Problem is, this fucking event is happening literally next door to VidCon, meaning that people don't really even have to make a choice to go to one or the other. They can go to both, specifically since the TanaCon tickets are so cheap. So a lot of people do, and they sell a shit ton of tiny price tickets. Like $1, $65. These are nothing if you're already spending $400 on a VidCon ticket. And so they have a tremendous overcapacity situation on their hands. And it's not even necessarily about people getting into the venue. No, it is about people getting into the venue. It's not a problem once people are in. Now, it's a poorly run convention. It was organized within 2 months. If you watch the video that I'm referencing, it happened 2 months ago. But this is not the Fire Festival. This is not that LOL Fest or whatever that had, that placated their people by offering them extra time in the ball pit. Those were just organizational shit shows from the get, but also cash grabs. I don't think that this was a cash grab. And as much as we can look and point at the failure of this, and believe you me, whenever you strand upwards of 3,000 people in the hot-ass Anaheim sun for hours and hours and hours, and then have to cancel your second day, it is indeed a disaster. But here's what I also think it is, and here's where I will wrap up. I think this is proof that there is power in the creator, and this is the defining tale of our era. Creators hold the power now. Gatekeepers hold increasingly less and less. And whether it's TanaCon, hopefully she goes forward and does another event that takes more than fucking 60 days to plan. Whether it's All In Chicago on the wrestling front, creators have the power more so than ever. And so I would like to celebrate Tana Mojo. I think you did a damn good job. It made me feel better talking about this when she did an interview where she's like, look, this is a failure. I'm impetuous. I tried to plan a con in 2 months. It turns out that that's a bad idea. But I think there are some good things to pull out of it. All right, let's go ahead and get into the mail. You can email me, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Rob writes, oh, by the way, real last thing on TanaCon, W Scottus1 in the chat room does point out that she is refunding anybody who paid tickets, and considering fucking most of them were $1 tickets, it's not going to be a massive PayPal exchange. Rob writes, smoking pot out of a hookah is like fucking the battery compartment of a dildo. Now, this was not marked high thoughts, so I didn't put it into high thoughts. But I will say that I totally disagree. When I was in college, me and my roommate, solid, one of the best people on earth, Sean Brucher. Probably shouldn't say full names on this show, but fuck him. We decided that we were going to be, hey, look, it's college. Everybody's got a bong. What could we have because we're some extra normal motherfuckers? We got a hookah. I will say that the hookah was always a hit. It was a fun, different way to smoke weed. Now, did it burn the weed a little faster? Yeah, maybe a little bit. Did it have a little bit more of that hookah-y, charcoal-y kind of taste? Sure. But either you mix a little bit of weed in with the tobacco, or you do a weed bowl and then you do a tobacco bowl. It was a fun destination. I have no idea where this kind of anti-hookah lobby is coming from. Don't get it. Don't get it. And while the metaphor of fucking the battery compartment of a dildo is indeed chuckle-worthy, and a tip of the cap to you, Rob, for coming up with that, I will say that I don't believe that it fits here. I think that you are incorrect on this. Redneck Tech writes, as a newly minted, about to be newly minted IT professional, I feel obligated to track down people with insecure IP cameras and inform them of their situation. I know I shouldn't feel obligated, but this is kind of depressing, and we all know that most people are oblivious to the security of their devices. So, he then directed me to this. This is Viewing Camera Online in California, Windsor. And this is, I think, a screenshot of a gigantic grow house. This is a gigantic grow operation. So I assume that what we are talking about is, somebody who wants to watch to make sure that nothing's on fire in his grow op, literally. So puts in an online cam, and then doesn't realize that most off-the-rack online cameras are default available to view without a password on the internet. Now, I don't quite know if what Redneck Tech is saying, that's not necessarily illegal here, although maybe in that quantity it is. But at this point, we don't necessarily want to put ourselves in the large pantheon of barbecue Beckys and permit patties of the world, where we need to be calling in rules violations from our couches. But I wonder whether or not this is that was a little Rush Limbaugh. I wonder whether or not this is a public service. Should there be some kind of anonymized, hey, FYI, your security camera is on? And if so, how do you find out who it is? I guess that's the other part. Maybe that's where the creeper element comes in, is if you're using context clues to ID it. Or is the problem that you're really only able to tell a general area, and you would be de facto snitching to neighbors if you then mail bombed by the way, one of you has an insecure camera. We're also getting some vigorous debate here in our Twitch chat, twitch.tv/JustinRYoung, on whether or not dildos have battery compartments. I mean, I guess probably vibrator would be the more likely battery operated thing. So the JuRY podcast regrets the error. We wrap up with this. Blair writes, "Hey, JuRY, I used to try to listen to the JuRY podcast, but because it was so long and meandering, I gave up on it and I just listened to your political podcast instead. But now with the experiments of 30 minutes or less, the constraints make you much more erudite, I think he meant to say. Is that the correct usage? Very much creative and funny in one small punch. So now I'm listening." I hope that this is a common refrain, because I've never been more excited since I started the JuRY podcast to do the JuRY podcast right now. Short bursts where we get more dialogue from you guys, and I can cover things in just little bite-sized pieces. I think giving me when I'm used to going 60 minutes, saying all you have to do is 20, perfect. Even if I'm doing it more often. All right. Some real quick ways that you can support the show. Go to patreon.com/JuRY and support us there. If you want to buy stickers, you can go over to stickers or DIAF.com. By the way, our Night Attack fanny packs, very few left. So if you want them, get them now. They are certainly not going to survive to the next tour. I guarantee you the next big product thing we do, if they're still available then, they will go very fast. If you want to make sure that you get them now. You can follow me on all social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at Justin R. Young. Also, you can email me for this show, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Just put JuRY in the subject line so I can sort you into an easy little receptacle where I can pull out your emails when we need them. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this program. And as always, please don't die! Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.